If you're between 25 and 50, you're standing in the most financially critical decade of your life, and most people don't even realize it missed this window, and the damage is permanent. Because unlike your income, your time doesn't scale. And yet, 7 out of 10 portfolios still underperform simple index ETFs over 20 years. That's not a maybe, that's a documented fact, which means even if you've been investing for years, odds are your portfolio isn't just inefficient, it's leaking. Disclaimer: this video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. Investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Yields and distributions can change, and past performance does not guarantee future results. Why does that happen? Because most investors, even the well-meaning ones, fall into the same trap: choice paralysis versus clarity. They get hit with the noise, hot stock tips, Reddit hype, economic panic, and outdated retirement rules that haven't worked since your dad was in his 30s. And here's why this matters right now. The rules that built wealth in the 80s and 90s, like stuffing bonds into every portfolio, are broken. Bonds don't protect like they used to. Global ETFs lag the US consistently, and trying to guess the next big stock? That's a gamble, not a plan. But there's good news, because if you take just a few minutes to set up what I'm about to show you, you'll never need to guess again. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a simple but powerful 3 ETF investing system. It's built for today's economy, not 1985. No stock picking, no market timing. Just a framework called the Coreflex portfolio, designed to grow, protect, and pay you in real terms with zero fluff. Stick around because in the next few minutes, I'll show you why most portfolios silently underperform, how to sidestep that fate entirely, and the exact 3 ETFs that can build a $900,000 plus portfolio, even if you're just starting with $10 a day. This is the system I wish I had at 25, and the one I'll still trust at 55. Let's build it together. Here's where everyone messes this up. Most portfolios people hold, whether built through a financial advisor or self-assembled through a brokerage app, are bloated, overcomplicated, and quietly misaligned with actual wealth building. And no one tells you this until it's too late. Let's break that down. A typical investor might think, the more diversified, the better. So they stack on fund after fund, small cap growth, international exposure, sector-specific plays, maybe sprinkle in some rates and bonds. What they end up with is a Frankenstein portfolio, a dozen overlapping ETFs, mutual funds with hidden fees, and stocks that cancel each other out. It feels diversified, but it's just noise. Now compare that to a precision-built, low-cost ETF strategy that covers the same economic exposure with 80% less friction. Same markets, same companies, but fewer moving parts, lower fees, and a dramatically higher chance of staying consistent long-term. Here's what happens. That bloated portfolio bleeds performance. Between fund fees, redundancy, and emotional decisions triggered by too much complexity, it consistently underperforms a leaner system by 1 to 2% annually. That might sound small, but over 30 years, it's the difference between retiring early and working another decade. Why is this so common? Because we confuse activity with progress. The finance world makes money selling you complexity, not clarity. Every extra fund, every new product, every flashy sector bet is designed to make you feel smart, while quietly stacking hidden drag on your future. But there's a better way. Let me show you a simpler model that scales. A 3-part system that removes 90% of the noise, focuses only on what compounds, and does it with relentless consistency. It's called the Coreflex portfolio, and once you see how it works, you'll wonder why no one taught it to you sooner. Let's talk about the system, the one I call the Coreflex 3 ETF portfolio. It's not magic, it's not trendy, and it doesn't rely on market predictions, economic forecasts, or guessing which sector will pop next. What it does rely on is structure, 3 essential roles that every long-term portfolio should have, all working together like a well-balanced machine. Think of it like a stool with 3 legs. Remove one, and it tips over. But together, it stands firm through market highs, crashes, inflation, and everything in between. Leg 1. Core growth. This is your economic engine. It captures the power of the US economy, not by trying to find the next Tesla, but by owning the market itself. This is the base that builds wealth over decades. Leg 2. The dividend engine. This isn't about chasing high yields, Brian. It's about holding high-quality companies that pay consistent, growing dividends. This leg pays you to stay invested and gives you income that keeps up with life's rising costs. Leg 3. Smart global exposure. Most portfolios either ignore the world or overexpose to underperforming markets. We'll show you how to stay global, but only with high-quality, financially sound international companies. This leg gives you resilience beyond borders. Together, these 3 ETFs create a structure that adapts, scales, and protects, whether you're just starting out or already building serious momentum. No overlap, no guesswork, no stress. That's the Coreflex portfolio. And in the next section, we'll dive into the first leg, the Core Growth ETF, and show you why this single decision could be the difference between a shaky retirement and a solid financial future. Let's build the first leg of the Coreflex portfolio, the Core Growth ETF. Here's the problem. Most people chase trends and miss the actual market. They jump into hot sectors when they're peaking, panic sell during downturns, and end up with portfolios that look like a tech startup's mood board: messy, volatile, and fragile. The fix? One rule. Buy the economy, not headlines. That's where ETFs like VOO or VTI come in. If you're younger, have a higher risk tolerance, and want to capture as much upside as possible, VTI gives you exposure to the entire US stock market, from Apple to your cousin's startup that just went public. If you prefer a tighter focus on large, stable companies, VOO tracks the S&P 500, the top 500 firms in America. Both give you instant ownership of thousands of businesses with a single click. And here's the real magic. And over the past 30 years, these ETFs have delivered around 9 to 10% average annual returns. Not in a straight line, of course, but consistently enough that $10 a day compounds into nearly $600,000 to $900,000 over 3 decades. Better yet, this core ETF helps smooth out volatility over time. You're not betting on a handful of stocks. You're betting on the entire US economy, which has proven again and again to be the most resilient wealth-building engine on the planet. In a moment, we'll pair this with the only dividend ETF I trust, and one that doesn't just pay you now, but grows that income every single year. But first, let's build the second leg of Coreflex, the dividend engine. For decades, they were the go-to for stability and income. But today, most bond funds barely beat inflation, and in some years, they lose value. So here's the rule. Income that grows beats income that fades. That's why the second ETF in the Coreflex system is either SCHD or VYM, depending on your age and strategy. SCHD is built for growth-minded dividend investors. It offers a healthy yield around 3.5 to 4%, but more importantly, it consistently raises its payouts year after year, sometimes by 10% or more annually. VYM is more conservative, great for investors closer to retirement who want broader exposure and a slightly higher starting yield with moderate growth. Visualize this like a tree. With bonds, you get fruit that might show up, and the tree stays the same size. With a dividend ETF like SCHD, your tree grows, your branches expand, and your fruit multiplies. Here's a quick example. If you invested consistently for 15 years, you could be collecting over $500 a month in passive dividend income just from this one fund. Myth: bonds are safe. Reality: they're losing to inflation. And if you're still using them as your primary safety net, you're fighting a financial battle with outdated weapons. Now, most investors stop here. They build around US stocks and dividends and think they're covered. But that leaves them exposed to one massive blind spot. Most people stop here, but they're missing the final piece. Next up, we'll build the third leg of the Coreflex system. Smart, high-quality global exposure that actually adds resilience, not drag. Now let's complete the Coreflex 3 ETF portfolio with the final leg, smart global exposure. Here's a hard truth that catches most investors off guard. Over 85% of international ETFs underperform the US market over the long run. Not just slightly, we're talking consistently underwhelming returns for over a decade. Why? Because most global ETFs are bloated with underperforming companies, misaligned economies, and poor capital discipline. Simply put, they're global for the sake of being global. Here's the rule. Global exposure only matters when it's smart. That's why this third ETF has to be quality screened. Two options to consider are INTF and VXUS. VXUS gives you broad international exposure, including emerging markets, but it includes the good with the bad. INTF, on the other hand, filters for high-quality international companies, firms with strong financials, high return on equity, and proven performance in global markets. Let's lay it out visually. US only. Great historical returns but full exposure to one economy. Global dumb, more diversified but slower growth and inconsistent returns. Global smart maintains US strength while layering in only the highest quality international performers. You're not just checking a diversification box, you're reinforcing your portfolio against US-centric shocks and long-term currency trends without sacrificing performance. This is the piece that adds durability, the third leg of your financial stool that balances global opportunity with intelligent selectivity. Up next, how these three combine to build a retirement income machine. Now let's talk results. How the Coreflex system actually performs when you put real numbers behind it. Here's what you get when you blend these three ETFs. US market growth through VOO or VTI. Dividend power through SCHD or VYM. Resilient global quality through INTF or VXUS. You're combining yield, capital appreciation, and dividend growth without overlap, without confusion. Now let's run a simple scenario. You invest just $10 a day, that's around $300 a month, into the Coreflex system, and you stay consistent. After 10 years, your portfolio could grow to over $60,000, and at 20 years, you're looking at roughly $250,000. And at 30 years, with steady reinvestment and compounding, that number pushes close to $900,000 or more, with thousands per month in passive dividend income flowing in. This isn't theoretical, it's math. Diversification doesn't mean complexity, it means precision. The more moving parts you add, the more likely something breaks. Coreflex keeps it lean, aligned, and effective. Now, imagine this works. Imagine waking up 20 years from now with 6 figures in dividends coming in, automatically. The freedom to quit your job, take care of your parents, say yes to things without checking your bank app first. Now imagine you waited another decade to get started. Same effort, same knowledge, but one less decade of compounding. That's the cost of indecision. Next, I'll show you the 3 mistakes that destroy this system for most people, and how to make sure you don't fall into any of them. First, yield chasing. This is the trap of chasing high dividend ETFs or stocks that promise massive payouts. They look good on paper, 6%, 7%, sometimes even 10% yields. But behind the scenes, they're often unstable, unsustainable, and one bad earnings season away from cutting those payments in half. High yield does not equal high quality, and once that dividend disappears, so does your peace of mind. Second, switching ETFs mid-downturn. This one's brutal because it feels rational in the moment. Market drops, your ETFs dip, you panic and swap them out for something safer or more tactical. What you're really doing is locking in losses and resetting the compounding clock. The Coreflex system works because it rides through every cycle. It's not built to avoid volatility. It's built to withstand it. Third, overfunding bonds. This is one of the most common mistakes I see, and especially from investors following outdated retirement advice. Bonds used to offer a reliable 5 to 6% return today. Many struggle to deliver 2 to 3% after inflation. Overweighting bonds in a low-rate environment caps your growth and delays your financial freedom by years, sometimes decades. Picture 2 paths. One is emotional investing, bouncing between strategies, reacting to fear, chasing returns, fiddling with your portfolio every time the market blinks. The other is system investing, structured, repeatable, boring by design. Guess which one wins over 30 years? Here's your micro action. Set and forget. Rebalance once a year. That's it. The less you tweak, the more you build. Now let's talk about what makes this system different from Jack Bogle's original 3-fund strategy. Jack Bogle built the foundation of modern investing, and his 3-fund model changed lives. But that strategy was forged in a different world, one where bonds paid handsomely, international markets surged, and index funds were just becoming mainstream. The Coreflex system honors that simplicity, but it evolves it for 2025 and beyond. Here's how. Today's ETFs have better screening, lower fees, and higher dividend growth than ever before. U.S. markets have outpaced international returns for over a decade, which changes how we diversify. And bonds? They're no longer your income driver. They're your inflation risk. So we replace them with stronger, growing dividend payers, with smarter global exposure, with ETFs that not only track the market, but pay you while you wait. You're not abandoning Bogle's philosophy. You're upgrading it. You're applying the same timeless principles: simplicity, consistency, low cost, but with tools built for a faster, leaner, more volatile economy. Let's make this real. If you're ready to get started with the Coreflex 3 ETF portfolio, here's your simple, repeatable plan. No guesswork required. Step 1. Open a low-cost brokerage account, something like Fidelity, Schwab, or Vanguard. Step 2. Set up an automatic investment of $10 a day. That's it. One lunch or coffee a day. Step 3. Once a year, rebalance your portfolio back to your original allocation. No overthinking, no perfect timing, just course correction. Now let's talk strategy based on where you are in life. If you're between 25 and 35, lean heavier on your core growth ETF. This is your compounding window. Go aggressive now so you don't have to later. If you're 35 to 45, balance growth with growing dividends. A 40-30-30 split between growth, dividend, and global quality is rock solid. If you're 45 to 50, prioritize income and preservation. Shift slightly more into your dividend ETF and keep your global leg focused on stability. Picture your investment journey like a contribution ladder. Every year you add a step. The higher you climb, the more your compounding ramps. What started as $10 per day becomes $60 per month in dividends, then $600, then $6,000. It's not magic, it's math. You don't need 30 ETFs, you need 3 that work. Let me leave you with this. The simplest systems are the ones that last. That's what the Coreflex portfolio is. A simple, structured way to build long-term wealth without stress, without speculation, and without the noise. Was this the clearest investing video you've seen? Then prove it. Hit that like button so YouTube knows this was worth watching.